Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, dignified dignitaries, and all of you today. Uh, I really appreciate and cannot appreciate less the kind of opportunity it has given me to interact with all of you. It has been a lovely, well 2 days spent, including the weekend today. I'm pretty happy. Before coming to this place, I was a little kind of skeptical, it being over the weekend. There were some plans with the family, and how do I plan that out, but probably everything worked for the best. The kind of interactions I've had over the past 2 days, and there has been some great discussions around the table, a lot of insights coming from all of you, which has helped me learn a lot about the stuff the region is doing, and I'm glad that I could make it to the event. Thank you so much for having me here today. My topic today has been, uh, just give me a second so that I get accustomed, yes, accustomed to the changing slides. So my topic today, and this is something that I had thought it would be of interest to all of you, to speak a little more about the artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence, we have been loosely using this word for last 2 days. There were some discussions, there were some thoughts which were shared by a lot of speakers. And those were all great inputs, but, and yeah, also let me put an apology here. I'm not carrying any video. There has been a lot of videos being shared over the last 2 days. It gives a good visual insights to the kind of work most of the folks have done. But I thought I would make it more sensitive around the interaction that I am able to express with the learnings that I've had on the topic. Now, artificial intelligence, whether it's actually an hype or not, or do I say where does it stand today with regards to the hype that it has created, the buzzword artificial intelligence and AI for all the scheme of things. Where does it stand today? How does it bring value to the users? How does it bring value to the citizens? How does it bring value to the governance? Is something that I'm more interested to understand and share with you today. Let's focus a little second here to understand the basic construct of an artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, just to bring everyone on the same page, it is the science of training systems to emulate human tasks. All of these words hold extreme importance. I call it a science. I call it a systems-driven mechanism to do the human tasks. So all of these are extremely important, and through learning and automation, we use the words machine learning, we use the words automation, we use the systems and technology pieces. All of those, when come together, are something that creates an artificial intelligence where we help machines to learn the way humans perform the tasks. Now that is the artificial intelligence. How much of it is possible? How much of it is actually doable? Where are we with regards to all of that? There are certain case in points which I've put up on some slides which I would like to share. A lot of people are actually leveraging artificial intelligence where it has failed in certain aspects. There are a lot of skepticism around security and certain of those aspects. Whether we put the power of human decision making into the hands of some robotics is something a piece to deliberate on, and hence the topic today, it's artificial intelligence beyond the hype. So is it actually living the hype or not? Yeah, so let's reflect back on how have we arrived here from a perspective of Guwahati being a beautiful place to arrive and have this conference. How have we arrived here? We've been through certain tasks. We have gone ahead in booking up our reservations through a travel desk. We arrived at the hotel to do the check-in time. We have flown in from different places. So the kind of exchange of data that has happened using the airline services is something that we have done. We've paid for certain services, and hence the transactions which has happened more commercially oriented. All of those have created a lot of data points, and including certain aspects where the devices which we have used and how those devices have been interacting to create certain synergies into the environment to help us reach where we have arrived today. Those are the areas that the software actually could help you bring all of those together. Case in point here, we have also spoken a lot of pieces around citizen-centric and more emotional touch to the aspects of having the human behavior, and those are the areas that we are bringing on the table. We are also speaking around the wildlife aspects of it with regards to the social innovation. So all of those areas have certain credentials or a role to play in our lives today. All of these are mechanisms that generate a lot of data. How much of that data makes sense for us? And probably a next slide should reflect onto it, which is a study made by Gartner sometime in 2017, where they've arrived at a curve which actually identifies certain aspects which are more around the topics which converge into creating a hype cycle, and which are the topics which are all associated with the artificial intelligence. So when I speak about the prescriptive analytics, I talk about the machine learning, NLP, all of those are actually at the peak of the hype cycle. Some of those aspects like predictive analytics, SAS, my organization itself has been speaking about predictive analytics for the last 2 decades now. So you can understand that it is actually spiraling down the curve where it's moving towards the maturity, where a lot of organizations have seen the value of predictive analytics, and hence it is coming down the curve towards the maturity. Ensemble learning is another space. All of these, when they come together, they actually create an artificial intelligence as an environment for all of us to leverage. Various organizations like the IDC, market research organizations, I'll be speaking about Gartner, IDC, and Forrester in my subsequent slide. But all of these research organizations, they have got dedicated focus in researching topics which are of interest to people like us. And when I say people like us, a normal human being, yes, all of these are going to impact my life. Which are the players which are actually available in each of these spaces? So a classic distribution of spaces which IDC had done and very beautifully placed a lot of people into different spaces. Now, I'm not saying that if IBM is in the search systems, they may not be available anywhere else, but this is how IDC has placed them out to be. So in order to reflect, there are many, many organizations. There are many, many players who are putting their weight behind. There's merit. There is a method to madness when we all talk about the artificial intelligence. And it is not just one single baby's game. It's a lot of people coming together, bringing the synergies, bringing in the stuff which they are good at, and delivering results which are associated to artificial intelligence. The next piece is around, a little reflection on the Forrester way of looking at things. And this is the piece where all the machine learning platforms is something that they are putting a little towards moving towards the hype cycle now, whereas the facial recognition intelligent research systems are still evolving. There is certain place where we are deliberating whether it is actually whether there is actually merit in putting so much of energies around the facial recognition pieces of it. What are the value systems? So I've got a certain slide which talks about the wildlife piece of it. So and facial recognition reminds me of that. I'll not shy away from speaking on it for a moment here. We are actually working in one of the states where, using the stripe patterns of tigers, we are helping the State Forest Department to arrive at what is the right or what is the tiger which is actually seen in a specific region, whether that region belongs to that tiger or not. So tiger being the kind of wild animal it is, they've got their own territories defined. If a tiger happens to be sighted in another tiger's territory, it creates a situation of conflict. So tiger-to-tiger conflict is also not a thing which would help conserve the stuff, but also if a tiger is sighted into a human habitation. Now, how do we avoid that? facial recognition and things like those. Stripe patterns help us identify which tiger it is, whether it is the right region or demography it is supposed to be in, and how do we avoid that conflict by taking some preventive and proactive measures associated with that. So those are the areas probably a lot of things are happening. Top emerging trends, speech analytics, deep learning will help you, unstructured data. That is a place where maybe the image part, again the reflection of the tigers example, where a video streaming or an image identification of which tiger it is falls under the space. Enhanced analytic solutions based on AI by having the visibility around the data. Now, some of the aspects around this is again research which talks about 61% of organizations picked machine learning and AI as an area of interest for them. They are going pretty heavy now. So it's not just a piece where people are finding the buzzwords of interest, whereas they are taking some concrete actions in picking up certain use cases and building those up. Chatbots being one of the simplest example. It doesn't do harm to anybody. I can automate my response time to my citizens or my customers by creating certain automated chatbots. The chatbots could be made intelligent enough, and we are doing this for the state of Maharashtra, where we are creating those chatbot environments for them using SAS platform in automating the response rates. Any questions a citizen asks, the chatbot could be made intelligent enough to improve and improvise its own responses based on the kind of questions that has come to it, not just a typical FAQ mechanism where standard questions are fed into the system and response is actually expected. So those are the things which are happening in this space. A little reflection on how it has evolved from the past to present. We've been speaking since a very long time back about the not a coined word of artificial intelligence, but the space that it has been available into. So late 90s introduced us to a machine learning space, whereas a classic and modern mechanism of delivering the results using the machine learning spaces evolved. Then came very lately a deep learning mechanism where it is an extended form of machine learning by delving into the data which is arriving out of machine at a very, very rapid rate. Now, applied artificial intelligence is something that we are speaking now. What about the artificial intelligence? And it brings value only when we apply it. How do we apply it? Should we be putting the decision-making piece of the final get-go to the machine itself, or should we keep the action time with ourselves? Is something a place where people are speaking now in the present situation from an evolution perspective. Now, where does SAS play a role in all of this? Now, SAS is an organization. We have been doing analytics for last 40 plus years now. It's been an organization that has been doing analytics when the buzzword of analytics did not evolve. Between 2000 to 2010, a lot of people were talking about analytics and advanced analytics, like today we are talking about AI. That is a space we have been operating in for a very long time. We understand that space. We understand what merits it brings by identifying the outliers in your relevant data set, whatever the data set could be. But identifying the outliers, taking proactive action on it, whether it is from a preventive asset maintenance perspective, whether it is a use case of a wildlife pictography, whether it is a use case of a citizen services not being delivered, or whether it's some kind of a fraud which is happening in the commercial or a revenue network from the taxation perspective. All of those are stuff where the crux of that is analytics, and which is a place where we feel confident we play a role, and hence our presence in banking, government, health and life sciences, manufacturing and energy, and retail. So wherever basically the data is, we breathe on data, and that is the place we operate in. From a government standpoint, we have been working extensively with various states, various bodies in smart city engagements. We are working with Aurangabad Smart City, Bhubaneswar Smart City, and many others. We've got solutions around how to integrate the sensor data into getting the data from a real-time perspective. Now, if there are some vibrations into a mechanical equipment like a machinery, which may cause a trouble sometime down the line, how do you identify those? Manual intervention to understand whether the machine is going to trouble you sometime down the line is not so easy as it is for a machine to pick it up. And hence, that is a place where we see a lot of merit in, from an AI involvement perspective. Let the machine learn for itself as to how it should have been performing. If there are any kind of outlier vibrations which suddenly start spiking up, I should get the trigger. If there is a mechanism needed to proactively act on that trigger, probably I may give the control to the machine itself. If it is an action which requires or threatens the life or anything associated, then probably I may not give the action to the machine in itself. I may take the action myself. However, let the system throw the alert, let the system throw an alert to me, and I can act upon it accordingly. So those are the areas where we see a lot of merit, and hence our space of operations revolve around all of those areas. How does SAS see artificial intelligence is broadly from a perspective of what feeds into the AI space and how I realize value out of that. So decision support system, deployment, data management, and visualization are certain aspects where those are kind of the more of a outputs of my AI-driven system, where I could leverage the visualization piece to derive value out of the data that I'm handling. Whereas machine learning, computer vision, natural language processing, NLP, and forecasting and optimization are my models, which eventually help me develop those AI platform and bring the value which is expected to deliver. Now, all of this comes through a three-step mechanism, and SAS sees very clearly that data being the heart of it, it is also extremely important to discover, to give the power of that discovery mechanism to the users itself, democratize it, democratize the analytics piece, put the power with the users. Users are not expected to be statisticians anymore. Let the system do that piece. No coding essentially should be needed. Whereas we are talking about building up and delivering results, building up models, using a drag drop mechanism which will help you arrive at a result and deploy it very fast. Now that deployment leg, which you can see as part of the automation, is extremely critical, because if you don't get the results right in time, probably the results are of no use. And hence, that's a place where we see analytics as the heart of the complete AI space. Now, being said that, we've been talking about analytics for a very long time, as I said. Now, and all of you are aware that analytics probably brings a lot of value, but then AI is a new coined word. There has been a lot of discussions associated with it, and I may not spend too much time other than reflecting all of these. Like, you would want to understand the image classification. You may want to do the speech to text, and for the speech analytics itself, how do you do the video analytics? All of those are possible using the deep learning techniques, and we've got the platform to deliver those for you. We are running a lot of pilots. We are running a lot of projects, actually doing the facial recognition, whether the driver is actually driving in the wrong direction. So we are working on building up models for various state governments to identify the wrong side driving, which will help the accident areas. A lot of areas that I can speak at length. Probably I may be short of time to address all of those, but I just want to throw a reflection and leave that space with you to think through. If there are different kind of use cases, different things that you are exploring in your departments, we would be very happy to engage with you, understand your challenges, and how artificial intelligence can bring value to you is something that we can always have conversations around. A brief discussion around the sentimental analytics. Sentiment analytics is a space where We are working with government of Maharashtra to identify the citizen sentiment. Also with Rajasthan, we've done a lot of work in around this space, whether a positive sentiment is going on, from citizen perspective and also from the news media perspective. Identify the news media that you want to analyze and then understand what are the topics that they are actually reporting on for specific regions. We can plot all of that information into a space and start analyzing all of that, which actually governments are doing right now. I can just skip some of these spaces because of the shortage of time, and I may need just 2-3 minutes more to close my session before I show up certain aspects which we are doing. Now, Aaron is an intern with SAS actually working. I met him a couple of months back. We are building up certain areas where we are using the smarter people, freshers into the space and helping them just with the platform, let them leverage. It doesn't need the skills that used to be needed to code and build up models. So Aaron, what he did was he actually created a brainwave sensor environment where he was transitioning the via Bluetooth, what are the brain cells. So whenever a slide needs to be changed on a presentation deck, just by thought of it, the system is able to change the slide, maybe with a blink, maybe some sensory organizations, and that is the model building capability of SAS, which can also bring to you. Now, it does not stop there by just building everything on SAS. It also reflects how I can leverage the open source network with me, with Python being one of the stuff which is used here. A quick closure note on what actually analytics is happening, or rather what AI is delivering today. In the field of medicine, in the field of disaster management, in the field of financial transactions, whether it is regulatory or private, in wildlife conservations. Various forms, we are working with various bodies in sports, engineering equipments, manufacturing, some spaces in patient care improvement. All of those spaces are actually happening. Yeah, in addition to the tiger stripes, another example of the pug marks, that's how elephants are identified. That is something that we are already working and we have delivered projects on to identify through the image recognition. Certain of our customers who are leveraging value out of the SAS platform, both India and globally, and you have seen this slide, yeah. I just wanted to use this minute to have a reflection on what are the talking points today which are happening. Students are developing AI to filter the fake news. Pretty common problem with us, absolutely. Just wrapping it up. Our Indian Railways has built up a solution using AI to identify, because of the stampede that had happened, using AI, they are building up solutions to identify which are the places where they need to start monitoring for crowd control perspective. There is a Rubik solution, there is a healthcare solution which has got identification from a legal implications perspective. Eradicating animal testing, one of the critical, maybe not in India so much, but globally it is a problem. Sometime it would be in India as well. Already a company in India is working on allowing to do the, or stopping the animal testing piece of it. So those are the areas probably which actually are in discussions today. Now I want to leave you with that thought, whether it is a hype or not. I do not want to be a judge. I may be seen as a biased example, but I just wanted to share the examples and thoughts with you. Feel free to have a conversation with us. We are just right across outside of this session area. We'll be happy to have some conversations around this topic as well. Thank you so much for listening and the time today. Thanks.